Call this meeting of the Abington Board of Selectmen. Would you please kindly rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Public announcements. We have several. First, the Board of Selectmen and the residents of Abington would like to extend good luck wishes to the Abington Girls Softball Under-10 travel team during the National Championships to be held at the end of this week in York, Pennsylvania. Abington's team of 9 and 10-year-old girls is known as the Avalanche, and they have already won the Mass Junior State Championship and the Amateur Softball Association's Regional Championship earlier this month. The 13 team members and their families and coaches leave on Tuesday to attend the Nationals, and we wish them a safe trip and best of luck in the National Championship Tournament. Congratulations to the members of the Avalanche. That's one. Also, the town moderator is seeking registered voters who are willing to fill 2 vacant seats on the 9-member Abington Finance Committee. Any resident who is interested in volunteering as a member of the Finance Committee should contact Town Moderator Sean Riley by calling his office at 781-878-2568 or by leaving your name and contact information at the Town Manager's office. No applause for that? No? On July 30th, 11 a.m., the United Church of Christ on 700 Old Randolph Street is having an open house, and there will be free blood pressure checks, free food, ice cream, free portraits, free car wash, and live entertainment. And that's at 700 Old Randolph Street at the United Church of Christ on July 30th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Also, the Abington Historical Commission is holding a summer contest to find the design for the commemorative flag for Abington's 300th birthday parade to be held on June 10th, 2012. The contest is open to all. The rules are simple. Be creative, innovative, unique, and we encourage thinking outside the box. The contest begins now and ends September 30th, 2011. A panel of judges from the Abington, Rockland, and Whitman Historical Commissions will choose the winning design. Please submit your original 12 by 18-inch artwork, no photocopies or digitals will be accepted, and include your name, address, and contact number to Abington Historical Commission, 500 Glenowicks Way, Abington, 02351. Attention, flag contest. Please call 781-982-0059 if more information is needed. The winning design will be announced in October. Good luck. The annual Senior Citizen Cookout, Friday, August 26th, 2011, 11 a.m. until 1 p.m., VFW Grove area, 30 Central Street, Abington, Mass. Frank's, hamburgers, potato salad, clam chowder, and ice cream. Free raffles for great prizes. Big band era music provided by Rick Walsh Music Services. Okay. Donations are now being accepted for the Nick Malafronte Fund. On July 14th, 2011, Nick suffered a severe spinal cord injury in a swimming accident while on duty as a lifeguard at the Island Grove swimming pool. Nick and the Malafronte family have a long road ahead of them. Since his spinal surgery, Nick has been moved to a rehabilitation center to begin his recovery. All donations will go directly to family as they deal with the health and well-being of Nick. Checks should be made to the Nick Malafronte Fund, M-A-L-A-F-R-O-N-T-E, the Nick Malafronte Fund, care of Abington Bank, 6 Harrison Ave, Abington, Mass. 02351. Does anybody have any other public announcements? Okay. Sorry. Okay, first on the agenda, recognition of efforts of lifeguards at the Island Grove Pond. As was just detailed in the public announcement for Nick's fund, we had a terrible accident on July 14th at Island Grove, and by all accounts, our public safety and lifeguard personnel, our highway, they performed brilliantly. They were swift, they were calm under pressure, and it's because of their efforts that Nick is alive. Before I read the proclamations, I would like to share with you a couple of eyewitness accounts that were forwarded to Mark Chirokis, Superintendent of Parks. The first one is from Debbie McLinn. It reads, "Hello. I just wanted to say that I was there the other day, and the lifeguards and camp counselors did a remarkable job. They stayed calm and performed their safety training with the utmost professionalism. I have always been impressed by the staff at Island Grove, and now I know why. They should be very proud of themselves under the terrible circumstance. My thoughts and prayers are with the staff at Island Grove, and especially the Malafronte family. Regards, the McGlynn family." The next one is from Matt Howley. It reads, "Hi, Mark. My name is Matt Howley. I was at Island Grove yesterday, and my wife and I witnessed the entire incident. I just want to let you know that your group of lifeguards did an amazing job taking care of Nick. Having 2 young children and spending most of the last 3 summers at Island Grove, I have always been impressed with their work. I have told them on a couple of occasions how great of a job they do every day. Yesterday, witnessing what Zach and the rest of your lifeguards did was something they should be proud of. It was evident the way this young group of people acted that their training for the safety of themselves and others had paid off. They were quick to act and their efforts were heroic. Also, it was very impressive that they had the entire situation under control despite the heavy volume of campers arriving just prior to the incident. I know that Nick is critically ill, and I'm sure that the lifeguards are all with heavy hearts, wishing that they could have done more. I have been a nurse for 14 years, trained in critical care. I know it is never easy to take care of one of your own. They went above and beyond caring for a friend and a coworker. While it was scary to watch as a parent, it was very comforting knowing that we have such a competent group of young adults watching over the safety of our children." Now, I'm going to read the proclamation, and it reads, "The Board of Selectmen," actually, I'm going to read the proclamation, and then I'm going to dispense them, starting with Zach. And you guys are just going to come up, take your proclamation, and they're in the order in which you're seated. "The Board of Selectmen would like to recognize the dedication and hard work of the pool director and lifeguards at the Island Grove Pond. On July 14th, 2011, Nick Malafronte suffered a severe spinal cord injury in a swimming accident as he was working as a lifeguard at the Island Grove Pond in Abington. Due to the heroic efforts and quick thinking of his friends and fellow lifeguards at Island Grove, Nick's life was saved. Throughout the course of the summer, these young people oversee the safety of approximately 1,800 children through swimming lessons, the Eager Beaver program, or just enjoying a day at the Island Grove, as well as adults. They are required to undergo extensive training prior to the start of the season, learning skills they would rather not have to put into practice. Their Red Cross certification requires a 40-hour training program focusing on first aid, AED training, and CPR for the professional rescuer, as well as waterfront lifeguarding. They also participate in a substantial in-house training on a weekly basis. They are trained in procedures to be followed in all contingencies and to work as a team. These skills were evident on July 14th, 2011. It takes a special type of person to accept the tremendous responsibility that goes with these positions, knowing others depend on you for their well-being. On behalf of the residents of the town of Abington, the Board of Selectmen extends its gratitude to you on a job well done. Signed, Board of Selectmen, Christopher Aiello, R. Andrew Burbine, Vice Chairman, Kenneth R. Coyle, Kevin R. Donovan, and Michael W. Franey. Zachary English, Pool Director. Jamie Whalen, lifeguard. Christopher Lynn, lifeguard. Kyle Greenlaw, lifeguard. Elena Salini, lifeguard. Catherine McGuire, lifeguard. Sarah Greenlaw, lifeguard. She's not here, okay. Erin O'Neill, lifeguard. Daniel Kustka, lifeguard. Lauren Landers, lifeguard. Alicia Reed, lifeguard. Rose Murray, lifeguard. Okay. Carly English, lifeguard. Okay, Hannah Russell, lifeguard. Danielle Hamilton, lifeguard. Okay. Yep. Brendan Whalen, lifeguard. Okay. Does any member of the Malafronte family like to speak?
Hello, I'm Jack Malafronte, and on behalf of my mother, Diane, my father, Vic, my brothers, Nick and Sam, and myself, we want to thank the extremely well-trained staff at Island Grove, along with all the other departments that helped out. If it wasn't for their professionalism in the case of our brother and son, Nick, we could be facing a much worse situation than we are right now. Nick is doing as well as to be expected considering the circumstances. And from the bottom of our hearts, we would like to extend a thank you to everyone who is helping our family through this terrible experience. And Nick sent me a message that he would like to be played. He wanted just to say thank you himself.
Oh.
So hopefully this plays. I don't know if it'll be loud enough, but.
Hey guys, it's me, Nick. I'm in Atlanta right now at rehab. Doing good, hanging in there. I just wanted to say thank you guys for all the work you guys did the other day. I wouldn't be in the position I am right now if it wasn't for you guys. I'd be much worse off. Zach, I can't thank you enough. Your leadership and determination was incredible, and you guys knew exactly what to do as soon as the accident occurred, and I really can't thank you guys enough. And also, I'm so happy you guys are getting rewarded tonight. You guys deserve it. You guys did a great job. You guys followed procedure. You did everything correctly. And I'm so happy you guys are getting recognized for this because it really means a lot.
Thank you for your time.
Dory, can we make sure all the departments that were involved, police, fire, highway, and park, all get letters of accommodation for their roles in this incident? Does any member of the board wish to say anything? No? Welcome, Mark. I'm sorry, Mark.
Good evening. And thank you very much for everybody who's attended to support this excellent staff we have. One of the questions I've been asked over the last couple of days is this the best staff I've ever had in 19 years? And I believe over 19 years I've had great staffs every year. This staff, unfortunately, got called to action, and they responded to that action as professionally as anybody could. So I guess in many ways they are maybe just a heads and shoulders above all the other staffs because they never had to do that, and these guys did an unbelievable job. The other part of the story here, and it was kind of mentioned in one of the emails, is that we had 80 kids swimming in the water at the time. We had to shuffle them out as quickly as possible. And the Eagle Beaver staff, which you don't hear much about it right now because of the main incident, but they had a major part in clearing the water and all that. They did a fantastic job of getting the whole situation under control with 80 young kids being calm and everything. And everything went smoothly, and I am so proud of both my staffs, whether it's the pool and the camp. I'm very, very proud that I can be a boss. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to take a recess before we...
If anybody else wants to say anything?
Does anyone else want to say anything?
Anybody from the
Okay.
audience? Anybody?
Again, thank you. We're going to take a brief recess, and we'll start the rest of the meeting and let everyone clear out of here. Okay, we're
Emotional, I would've been
going
crying.
to start up again. Next on the agenda is a Moto Garden transfer of all alcohol restaurant and entertainment license at 1501 Bedford Street. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Monday, July 25th, 2011, at 6:35 p.m. in the Cotter Hearing Room at 500 Glenowicks Way on the application of Melody Pong Manager, Amoto Garden, Inc., DBA Amoto Garden, for a transfer of an all-alcohol common vicular license and entertainment license from Cam's Garden, Inc., at 1501 Bedford Street. I'll entertain a motion to open the hearing.
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Franny.
Second.
Okay, second by Kenny Coyle. All in favor? Aye. Okay, the hearing's open. Could you please introduce yourself, sir?
Sure. Good evening, board members. My name is Chris Coleman. I'm an attorney on behalf of the applicant tonight. That is Amoto Garden, Inc., and they'll be doing business as Amoto Garden. This is the location that you may know as Cam's Garden on Bedford Street. As the hearing and notice said, we're here for an application tonight for a CB license, all alcohol transfer license, as well as an entertainment license. I don't know if you're familiar with the setup inside of Cam's. It's basically got two sides. It's got a lounge bar side and then a restaurant side to it. Our Asian cuisine restaurant, there won't be a lot change except there'll be a cosmetic uplift from what's there now. But as far as the rest of the layout of the location, there won't be any change there. Proposed hours are Monday through Thursday, 11:30 a.m. to 1 a.m., Friday and Saturday, 11:30 till 2 a.m., and then Sunday, 12 till 1 a.m. That's 12 noon. The entertainment won't change that's in there. Right now, there's really only CD music as well as some televisions. It looks like there's 4 televisions in the lounge side, and it looks like there may be 1 lottery television. I don't know if that's considered entertainment or not, but it's mostly news and sports, as far as I could tell, that's on in there right now. The proposed managers we have here is Melody Hong. Melody has good restaurant experience from 2006 to present. She's been the assistant manager at Sichuan Restaurant in Framingham. She works 40 hours plus at that location. Prior to that, from 2003 to 2006, she was a waitress at the Mandarin Pan Chinese restaurant in Northborough. She's a U.S. citizen. She's had her TIPS training, a surf safe, and we talked to her at pretty great length about the importance of alcohol training for everybody that's serving the alcohol, not just the bartenders, but waiters, waitresses, everybody in there. She's going to make sure that either they have training on site for everybody in mass, or that they'll each be shipped out to have their training. but everybody that's going to touch it is going to be aware of what's required there. I understand this evening there may not have been a report from police. We'll be happy to answer any questions along those lines. But at this moment, if you have any questions, be happy to answer.
Kevin?
Mr. Chairman, just a couple. Did you have the abutter notification, the green cards?
I thought
Actually, it's not a requirement with the transfer, the abutter notification of a transfer of a license, just the advertisement.
Do you realize on the we're not a 2 o'clock community or a 1 o'clock?
I suspected that, so 1 o'clock would be, we'd be amending the application for that, yeah.
Okay, fine. And the only other last question would be in terms of the certification, if you could provide us, if you have a copy of,
Of our alcohol training?
please.
It's in-
Have that
I
with
think it's
me.
in the pack. Any other questions from the board? Andy?
Do you have a lease, a signed lease yet, or are you still working on that?
It's pending execution, it's ready to go. It's all laid out.
Can we get a copy of that one?
Of course.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, we received correspondence from the chief of police, who said that he had not had an opportunity to meet with the applicant and asked that the board consider refraining from granting the license until a proper meeting can take place. So I called your paralegal in your law firm today to explain that may be the case. And as of today, the chief has not yet met with the applicant.
Okay. Okay. Anyone on the floor have any questions to this hearing? No?
Just one question. Are these
Mike?
the hours of operation, are these the current hours, or is this what?
That's what's on the license right now, yeah.
Okay, so the 1 o'clock on
Up till
Friday,
1.
Saturday, and Sunday?
Correct.
Thank you. Dory, would it be proper to grant the license pending the chief's positive outcome with that?
I think it would be more prudent to continue the
Continue.
hearing, as this is a liquor license, and it's the property also that goes with the license, and I think in this case.
That's
it would
fine.
be more prudent to continue.
It's just that, it'll be a month before we,
Right.
Yeah.
which is unfortunate.
Actually, to answer that question, I might clarify a little further. Sunday, it's actually 1 PM currently on the license, 1 PM to 1 AM on Sundays,
And you're changing that
That's
to
what-
to
from noon?
to 12.
Okay,
Other than that, it's the same.
that's fine, that's,
Would someone like to make a motion to continue this to August 29th?
Mr. Chairman, I make that as a motion to continue the hearing to August 29th pending receipt of the final execution of the lease
Lease.
and a report from the chief of police.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Donovan. Do we have
I'll
a second?
that.
Okay, second by Mr. Franny. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank
We'll
you all,
get
we'll
on
see you in
the agenda
August.
for the 29th, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next, we have, just give me a minute. We have the Abington Country Store transfer of package store license at 852 Hancock Street. Could you please introduce yourself?
Good evening. My name's Thomas
Is there a hearing
DeMarcus.
for a transfer? Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me just read this hearing notice.
Go ahead.
The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Monday, July 25th, 2011, at 6:40 PM in the Carter Hearing Room, 500 Glenwick's Way, on the application of Deval Patel, Deval Convenience Incorporated, DBA Abington Country Store, for a transfer of a wine and malt package store alcohol beverage license from Mildred S. Kelly, DBA Abington Country Store, 852 Hancock Street. Can I have a motion to open the hearing? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing's open. Sorry about that.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. My name's Tom DeMarcus. I'm a lawyer representing the petitioner. This is the Abington Country Store, which is a convenience store which sells beer and wine. We're here to ask you to transfer the beer and wine license to my client, Deval Convenience, Inc. It's a new corporation, and it has two principals. Deval Patel, who's standing next to me, he is going to be the manager under the liquor license, and also his mother is going to own 60% of the stock and DeVal's going to own 40% of the stock. The purchase price is $150,000, and it's being financed all by family money. DeVal, his mother and his father are putting in $102,000, and his sister is lending $48,000. So there will be no other financing outside of the Patel family. They are signing a 10-year lease with the, basically the same principal who owns the convenience store now, so she will stay involved in the operation. We're happy to answer any other questions that you gentlemen may have.
Just for myself, the alcohol training has, have they been certified in the tips?
Not yet. We always advise our clients to get the local approval first to spare themselves the expense, but they will be obviously trained before they open for business.
Any other members of the board?
Just the same question, do you have a signed lease yet, or are you still waiting on that? There was a copy of a lease, but it wasn't.
Yeah, has it been signed, actually? Yeah, we're waiting until it's approved. We'll have it signed prior to opening for business.
Would any members of the audience care to speak to this hearing? No? Okay.
This one, are the hours of operation going to stay the same?
Yes, the hours of operation will not change. Thank you.
And correspondence from the building inspector suggesting that he is required to have 2 lighted exit signs, of which you're aware of, and ensure that that will be done. So perhaps your vote would be contingent upon the electrical lit signs.
Of course, okay.
We're happy to, all these excellent questions that have been raised, we're happy to have you make them conditions if you grant the license, you know, the tips training, the lighted signs, the signed lease. All of those things will be done before we take ownership, before my client takes ownership and opens for business or takes over the business. And we have absolutely no objection to those concerns being made conditions of the license.
All right,
To close the hearing.
yeah. I'd accept the motion to close the hearing. Okay, motion by Mr. Franny, second by Kenny Coyle. All in favor? Aye. Hearing is now closed.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the transfer of the license subject to the 3 conditions as stipulated by the applicant's attorney.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Donovan,
Second.
second by Mr. Burbine. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say, if your mother owns 60% of it, I'm sure you're going to do a good job.
That's not just me, it's
I'm sorry.
It's okay. All right, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, next. All right. We have next, on the agenda, we have the pinning and swearing-in ceremony for George Gardner Jr. being promoted to permanent captain, and then we have a new firefighter, paramedic Justin Silva. Chief, would you want to come to the podium, please?
Thank you. We may just need a minute to get the firefighters in here. I think they're still patiently waiting outside. Just give them a moment. Before we begin with the swearing in of the 2 additions or promotions of the fire department, I just want to reiterate again what Mark Chirokis was saying about the lifeguards. I really couldn't top anything what any of them had said, just to pretty much an agreement that they truly were the first link in the chain of care for Nick that day. By all accounts, from everything that we heard, and even just from the reports of the injury, they definitely saved his life, and they further reduced any further injuries to him. So we're very proud of them as well. So both Mark and Zach, they had great leadership with that whole team. So each one of them should be commended for what they did. Thank you. Tonight, we have, again, good news for the fire department. A new addition to the fire department, as well as a promotion from within the ranks. We'll start with the badge pinning and the welcoming to our newest firefighter paramedic, Justin Silva. Justin, if you want to come over. Just a few quick words about Justin. Justin is a firefighter paramedic, a transfer, if you will, from the town of Halifax. He's been working full shifts in the town of Halifax for over a year. And he's still going to go to the fire academy, hopefully in October, which we're trying to get them in. In the meantime, however, we're so impressed with the abilities and the knowledge that he's shown us over his 2 weeks initial orientation that we've actually put him on a full shift until October. And that's going to fill one of the holes, one of the vacancies that we have, and further reduce the overtime, which I'm sure you're going to want to hear. But it's also going to try to decrease some of the burnout that the current firefighters are dealing with trying to maintain these shifts. Justin, again, he was a transfer from Halifax. He's looking for a civil service department and a busier department. And I think he's seen just in the last 2 weeks that Abington is definitely a busier department, notwithstanding that the other day Halifax had a couple fires of their own. He certainly see the call volume that we've had in the last couple of weeks. So hopefully you're getting what you asked for with a busy department. I'd like to ask his father, Stephen Silva, who's also a firefighter paramedic with the town of Middleborough. He's actually going to do the honors of giving him the badge. And yeah, thank you very much. We welcome you here. There you go.
Deep breath.
Again, with the addition of Justin, that's one less vacancy that we have. Firefighter Kroll, as you recall, a couple of months ago, we had the badge pinning for him. He's currently in the fire academy. He's here tonight, but the last couple of weeks, he's started the fire academy, and he should be out in October. And then he'll be able to work full-time shifts at that point as well. And we have 3 more waiting, again, for the October academy, ultimately, hopefully, leading up to the reopening of Station 2 in January. That's where we're heading. The next event for tonight, it's my pleasure to promote from within the ranks a firefighter paramedic that has been with this department since 1998. This is George Gardner. Captain, if you want to come up. Again, a quick bio on George. George Gardner has been a paramedic since 1995. He's been with the Abington Fire Department since 1998. He's been very busy within our department. He has been the assistant EMS coordinator since 2001. That's a very busy role, as George can attest to. That's maintaining the ambulance certification, the training, the purchasing of supplies, the billing system, if you will. You help him pack order with that, with the software to keep that going. That's a very busy role, and he's done a great job fulfilling that. George has an Associates of Fire Science from Massachusetts Community College. He has a Bachelor of Fire Science and Management from Anna Maria College. He is one of our 2 child safety seat instructors and inspectors. They actually install the car seats free of charge for residents, not only of Abington, but for the area. We have a lot of people that come directly from South Shore Hospital because they've heard about the program that Abington does, and we're right up the street. And they will not release the infant until they have a safe car seat in the car. So we tend to be busy in that area. We have numerous commendations for George in the past for some of the work that he's done both on and off duty. He's responding off duty several times, and he's saved the life of a very traumatic motor vehicle accident in front of the Ale House several years ago, as well as numerous calls from within the ranks. And he is more than ready for this. I have all the confidence in the world that George is going to be a great leader for this department. And I also would be remiss if I didn't thank firefighter Mike Murphy for stepping in the role of acting captain for most of this calendar year. Murph is our senior firefighter. Usually if there's a vacancy, we will take the senior-most firefighter or member in that rank to temporarily step in. Once the test scores came out, and George is the one that he passed it and topped it, and even beyond that, we have all the confidence in the world that George can do this. So we're very proud to promote him to the rank of captain. So thank you. And pinning the captain's badge on George tonight will be his daughter, Delaney, and his wife, Terry.
It's like prom night.
the second time in my life I feel humbled and almost speechless. Almost. And it will be short. I know everybody's got things to do tonight. But I would like to thank the chief for his confidence in me and his ability to promote me and actually help the department if possible, work out where I can. But I'd like to especially thank my wife and daughter for putting up with me for the past 7 years, trying to pass the test to get the position. All the studying I've gone through, all the tests I've taken, waiting for an opening. You don't know what kind of stress that puts on the person taking the test, but the family behind them. Other than that, I'd like to thank everybody that pointed me in this direction. And I should point out that Lou is the one who actually pointed me into Abington was hiring 13 years ago. Lou from East Bridgewater, so thanks, Lou. And again, I'm just very humbled to be here, and I hope I can do well. Thank you.
Very briefly, too, just to bring the selectmen up to speed, this is the first time in well over a year that all of the management positions for the Abington Fire Department have been filled with full-time people. So we're trying to rebuild both, not only the entire department, but also the management structure. So we're getting there.
Good, that's great news.
Linda Adams, would you like to officially swear in both candidates? George and Justin, if you want to come back up here.
This is pretty correct. Please use your name or I use mine. I, Linda Adams, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and general laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the charter and bylaws of the town of Abington. I will faithfully and to the best of my ability discharge the duties of the office to which I've been appointed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. All right. All right, next on the agenda, we have a review of our annual report from our auditing firm, Powers and Sullivan. Mrs. Jameson, would you care to get us going on that?
We have tonight Jim Powers of our auditing firm, Powers and Sullivan. He's here to present the update. So-
Sorry. There you go.
We have Jim Powers of our auditing firm, Powers and Sullivan, who's here to present the financial statements for our fiscal year ending June 30th, 2010, as well as the status of our year-end, currently fiscal year 2011, where we're currently under closing the books for that fiscal year as well.
Great. How you doing?
Sorry for that, I was caught up in traffic there. Okay, ready to go? Say one?
Yeah.
We good?
Go ahead.
Okay. Again, as Dory said, I'm Jim Powers from Powers and Sullivan, managing partner of our firm. We've been auditing Abington for several years now. Unfortunately, with me tonight, not here tonight, is Craig Peacock, another partner at our firm who is in the day-to-day partner of this engagement. He's on vacation right now, but Craig and I share responsibilities relative to the audit. I'm going to briefly go over the reports. If anybody has any questions, and again, through the chair, can ask questions as I go through them. I'm going to give an overview, but if you want to go into great detail, that's what I'm here for. Okay? Every year, the town has an audit. Although this is actually over a year later, the audit has been completed for several months, and realistically, most of our audit work is done in the fall. Last year, there was just a little bit of a problem just getting some of the enterprise fund fixed assets done through to a system change, which delayed the audit a little bit past the beginning of the year. We normally have completed the audit, and the town completes their books before December 31st. Last year was a little bit of an abnormality, and however, what I do want to say is that the actual fundamental internal controls for the town are in good shape relative to the budget to actual reports that you receive periodically, the reconciliation of cash, receivables, all the important things, and the budgetary basis of accounting. And that's the most important thing to the board and anybody else looking at the management of the town, because that's what the recap is based on, free cash, et cetera. So the reports that you receive during the year, you can have confidence of those being accurate. The delay for last year was in what's called the Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, full accrual basis of accounting, year-end adjustment that required just a little bit of time to complete. And so overall, when you take a look at the management letter, et cetera, there'll be things that you want to be concerned with. If we had what's called material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, those would be things of immediate concern to the town. Say that if you didn't reconcile cash on a timely basis between the treasurer's accounts and the ledgers, that could lead to misstatements throughout the year, et cetera, and put the assets of the town at risk. That isn't the case. And so what we have is what's called other matters in the management letter that we have presented to you. And those are other matters. A lot of them efficiency points, things you could do a little bit better, some changes that we recommend in policies, procedures, a lot of them to do with full accrual accounting, not necessarily the budgetary basis of accounting that the state dictates the town maintain. Other report you have in there is a schedule of federal awards. Every year, any community that receives and expends over $500,000 of federal funds, whether received directly or through the state, has to have a compliance audit with the federal requirements. What you'll find in part of that report is that you got a clean opinion. You spent about $1.7 million worth of federal funds in fiscal year 2010. A lot of those, most of those were school-related expenses. There was some other amounts that you got through the Mass Water Pollution Abatement Trust as in a form of a grant that the Water and Sewer Department operations used. Again, clean bill of health relative to the compliance with those particular grants. And that has been the case in the past. And then the last report is the audit of the financial statements. And that basically tells the reader of the financial statements your financial position for the year, results of operation. With that, in fiscal year 2010, it was just a basic financial statements. In previous years, you may have been familiar with the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, which was a larger book. And the reason it wasn't done in fiscal year 2010 was a combination of the expense that the town has to go through and looking to cut back, because it's nothing that isn't mandatory, but it's an award program put up by the Government Finance Officers Association, and the fact that some of the things that was required in that gap presentation wasn't available by 12/31 relative to the fixed assets, and therefore the timeline had expired relative to submission. However, the numbers didn't change. The numbers are unqualified. You got a clean opinion, and so the results that you see on the ledgers are good. In reference to your actual financial condition, we don't opine on whether or not you're in great shape or bad shape, et cetera. Obviously, the town's financial condition had been deteriorating over the last several years. If you take a look at your fund balance over the last several years, you were consistently 7, 8 years ago, $2.5 million worth of fund balance, steadily went down, and then all of a sudden you ended up with a $743,000 deficit in 2009, which was the low point of where you were. Some structural changes were made to government relative to expenses, operations, revenues, et cetera, and you made a nice rebound in fiscal year 2010. You ended up with a positive fund balance in the general fund. And I know the town is planning, at least on the go-forward basis, looking at 5-year projections, not only to maintain and increase that general fund balance / free cash and stabilization fund, but obviously it was not done without pain as part of that process, as we could easily see just the numbers, guys, looking at it, besides, going online, reading the local papers and everything else that you can do as an auditor, to see what happens, and talking to Tony and anybody else in the town. So we we commend the town for making that turnaround. However, it's still precarious. That trend, it's hard to get out of that hole, but now that you restructured, hopefully, slow and steady can get you back on track to maybe get back and recover some of the services you may want to do that. But obviously, you need to take a look at your finances as part of that and make sure that is accomplished in a slow and steady manner. The other thing that, if you took a look at the GAAP financial statements, things that are coming down and looking in big conversation pieces, on the full accrual basis of accounting, which isn't the budgetary basis. Things like the post-employment benefits obligation, OPEB. I don't know if you've read about that or heard about that. It's a bigger, it's in the news a lot lately. You've got your unfunded pension liability, which you share that liability with the Plymouth retirement system. You've got about a $20 million share of that unfunded liability that hasn't been funded at your 4.5% rate of total ownership in that particular plan. But for the retirees, there is you provide health insurance for retirees. That's your own obligation relative to the retirees. There has been no funds set aside for that. There's no legal requirement to do that. The state hasn't changed its laws, and basically what it says, you can pay as you go for those particular benefits. But when the actuary comes in and takes a look at your unfunded liability, you have about a $42 million liability relative to that which has already been earned by current retirees and current employees, but has not been set aside for their benefit. There is an ability to put aside money if you wanted to, but obviously that's something that's probably not on the immediate horizon. It's not really on the immediate horizon for a lot of other communities. You are not alone in this. Very few communities that actually put aside money for that. A couple are doing that right now, but those are the communities that are extremely usually affluent and have some significant, had their own pension system, maybe fully funded, and had a little bit of excess funds. One place did an override to do that, reduce their liability, but they still have a long way to go relative to that. Rating agencies, when they take a look in analyzing your financial condition, will now take that into consideration. They'll ask the administration, what are your plans for funding OPEB and dealing with this liability? And through plan changes and other things that, new legislation that the state just passed relative to what cities and towns can do for their health insurance and contribution and rate, and the Group Insurance Commission, may be one way to reduce that liability. The plan you're in and the plans you offer obviously have a big effect of the total dollar effect, and obviously the percent contributed by the employee/retiree to the town also has a big. So that's just something that you don't have to do, you don't have to fund, but it's something that after you stabilize your general fund over the next several years, it's something that may warrant some discussion. Again, not telling you what to do, but a lot of places are looking at maybe starting to put a little bit of money aside, build your stabilization fund up first and the rest of that first, but because once you put money aside for that, you can't get it back. That's the Massachusetts law. So if you decide to put $100,000 away for that, it's there until it's there for a long time. So there's other ways to actually fund that, and you just have to, and we'll be happy to come back in and explain the accounting implications about the decisions that you're thinking about making before you make them. But you still want to be financially prudent relative to that. So that's probably the biggest thing, the general fund and that particular liability that we had in the audit. And then for the management letter points, the town's working on most of them to eliminate that. Again, I don't see anything in there that is that critical relative to the management letter, but if you had any questions on that, I'd certainly be happy to address it.
Just on that, Jim, was that a separate?
There's three different reports.
Did you get the measurement?
I asked for,
Oh, you did? Yeah, I didn't get.
yes.
So there'd be a financial statement, which I just
Yeah, I
have.
have those two, but I didn't get a management letter.
You didn't get a management letter? You have two?
Yeah.
Essentially, if I could, the only questions I have, Jim, is as it relates to, on the management letter, which I looked at the financials, and obviously they are, as you said. The question I have is on the management letter, and I'm more focused on the prior year comments.
Correct.
Only because many, many years ago, we would get audits that were loaded with prior year comments.
Right.
And I guess one of the focus, and I understand the issue where, you know, the current status, the town had commented that they're currently working on it. I guess the thing, if you know, fine, if not, that's not a problem, but of these prior year comments, how many of them transcend a previous fiscal year, or are they currently just in the fiscal year that you audited?
They transcended, they were in the prior year, so any prior year comments
I
were.
mean, I should word it differently. How, did it go back more than 1 year?
Several of them did.
Okay, that's, I guess, a concern for me, and I guess I want it noted for the board, and perhaps if we could take the message back, that one of the issues that I'd really like to see is us to deal with as a priority the prior year comments, to get those up to speed, because very easily they slip away from you. And the next time, and obviously you've got a schedule to do the audit for the
Right.
fiscal year 11 that just closed, and my concern would be that if this all of a sudden shows up again, and then the question becomes, if we try to go out to bond, at some point, people are gonna be looking at this and saying, okay, you've had comments here, how many years now, and what have you done about it? So I guess more of a constructive comment from my standpoint would be if we could, as part of the financial team's efforts, make a truly prioritized effort to deal with those prior year comments.
You know, and there's a couple of them that we would consider a little bit higher than others relative to that. And again, none of them mandated, but it just, some of them just sound financial policies relative to fraud risk assessment, disaster recovery plans, et cetera, that should be formalized.
And I think that the whole issue, the deposit and investment policy, do we have a policy on petty cash, which is a pet peeve of mine? And I think those are the issues that I think have to be detailed in writing, so that people, the departments know specifically petty cash. You know, there's got to be, in my view, a policy on petty cash that lays it all out, because I think therein the internal controls can escape, as you well know.
Right.
Very quickly if you don't. That would be my only comment. I think that, you know, just in terms of the audit schedule for FY11, are you?
We're on board to come in in a couple of months. We've already done a lot of preliminary work. We expect, one of the things I'd like to do, and I don't expect the same type of delay that we had last year. And again, that was just one single issue with some capital assets, that we make sure that we meet, whether or not the audit's done. Myself or Craig come down and meet with you sometime late fall, early winter, you know, well before year end, so we're not sitting in July talking about last year. I'd rather be sitting in October, November, December, discussing the previous years, and if there's any delay or a problem with the audit, that you hear it from us at that point in time. I don't expect that. Like I said, and abnormally in all the previous years, except for the years way back when, as you had mentioned, the management letter was a lot worse, which that has been going for a long time now.
It has.
The audit has been completed prior to 12/31 in a normal schedule.
Could we perhaps do this, Mr. Chairman, through you to the Assistant Town Manager? Could we put as a tickler, if you will, for one of our meetings in November to ask, maybe get a status update from Mr. Sullivan as to where we stand, not only with the current audit in terms of the FY11, how we're coming with that, but also where are we in terms of the cleaning up the prior year issues,
Right.
if we could.
Right.
That's fine.
And I can actually, in that meeting, give you the number of years, say, a point has been in the management
I
letter.
was going to ask if you could do that.
And we could lay out a little grid to sit back and say, it first showed up in 2008, partially resolved, et cetera, and show their progress over the last 1, 2, 3 years to give you a good status report relative to the age of some of these points.
The only thing I look at when I open the financials is I go right to undesignated revenue to see what's our free cash. And all of that, so.
That is the most important thing that you need to consider, obviously. Being in a negative position is not a good thing, so.
Mr. Chairman, just a question on water and sewer fixed asset balances. You made a comment about, we had a problem, it's hard for me to understand, you know, blue-collar worker, how these things happen, but all of a sudden, we weren't paying our employees pensions. The town of Rockland had, so we incurred, it was all done fairly, it was a mistake, but it was a mistake that was made. And so we pay a lot of money to have these audits done, and it seemed like it didn't show up, and yet when I'm reading this thing here, it says the current status that you're recognizing that, can you just speak to that?
That's not the same as what you're talking about relative to how much had to be paid for all those prior years and the actual expense. This is the actual value of your capital assets. What's the value of the infrastructure? What's the value of the lines? What's the value of any pump stations, treatment plants, et cetera, that Abington owns itself? The system that was in place before, there was some outside assistance that was, there was records already in place at the town, and then another report was done to kind of evaluate the entire system. That didn't match up with the previous records, and so a reconciliation, and again, that's just paper, it's not the, so it's two different issues. This is just the value, it's like what's the value of town hall? Well, we can go back several years, go through what was the bond taken out, how much do we expend for that? Sometimes with infrastructure, water and sewer, those type of things, they're a little bit more ambiguous from a cost standpoint, from an accounting. But the other piece that you were talking about is a different matter.
So when you do the audit, you audit the town's books, it doesn't include the water or the sewer, or does it?
It does include the water and sewer.
Okay.
But just the value of that, so if you have a capital expenditure, some things get expensed in 1 year, and some things you expense it over the life of the useful life of the asset. And a new valuation was being done, which didn't match up to the accountant's records, and so it took a couple of iterations to prove out and reconcile those particular balances. It didn't cost you any more money. It just cost you a little bit of time to get the books closed relative to that. It doesn't change your free cash position in the enterprise funds. That certification has nothing to do with the value of the assets themselves.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Lori? Okay.
We're good?
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Hi.
very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Okay, next. Approval of minutes for the Selectmen's meeting of June 27th, open session.
I just had one correction that I gave to Dory, and I think she's giving you an amended copy, and with that, I move to approve as.
Just one comment, not necessary. We had a discussion. I think my comment came when I had the plan. It didn't show where the cars were going to go or stuff like that, and it went on to more or less include marking parking spots. My intent was not to have every car dealership mark their parking spots. I just want to be up front with that. It was,
Yeah, because I've heard already.
yeah, it was strictly came, I had the paper in front of me. It didn't show me what I wanted. That's what.
The guy actually offered, if you
Right,
remember.
but it went to that. I wanted to assure that the small businesses, that should not be a requirement, in my opinion. I didn't know where the board was going to it. I saw it on here. That was the comment. These are accurate, but that wasn't my position on the thing. I just wanted to be upfront with that.
I'll second Mr. Donovan's motion. Okay, so we have a motion to pass the minutes as amended by Kevin Donovan, a second by Mr. Burbine. Any discussion? All in,
Okay.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, passed. All right. Next, we have a letter of resignation, actually two. We have two members of the SAGE Committee have filed a letter of resignation. Mr. and Mrs. Dan Brillman have resigned. Do we have to take a vote to accept their resignation?
I would move with you, accept it with regret.
Yeah, send them
Except-
a letter of
correct.
thanks for their service.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Donovan and a second by Mr. Burbine. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Next, we have a discussion of open meeting and ethics law. Would anyone like to start the discussion?
Yeah, if I could, Mr. Chairman. Based on at least my dealings with Copeland and Page in the past, they have always offered to come down and do a seminar for the town, free of charge actually, on the open meeting law and the ethics law and the public records law. And my thought was that whereby the open meeting law has recently changed, I thought perhaps if at all possible, if we could check with them. I don't know, usually when, you know, you deal with them up in the beginning, they usually mention that. And
They did, when we actually
Did they?
reappointed
Okay.
them, they said they'd do it.
And usually the summertime is, because things are slow, is kind of a good time to do that. And my thought process was that, and the reason I asked to have it put on the agenda is perhaps they could do it at a meeting of the Board of Selectmen, maybe either in August or September, maybe even at one of our September meetings. So we could invite the different boards and commissions here, but more importantly, it's televised so that there's a record of it, so that anybody that couldn't be here can call it up and look at it. And I think it's valuable in that, again, especially the open meeting law has changed where the requirements are narrower, and I just think it'd be something that it gives everybody a refresher course on it.
That's a great idea.
And
Yeah.
I think that it will be time well served, and hopefully they're offered to do it for nothing, and they still will.
I think
So
Sure, of
is-
course they will.
when we had the interview process, I believe that was.
They
that
did
was
that,
one of
yeah.
the, yeah.
So I don't know if you want to entertain a motion, I'd be happy to make that motion, or if Dory
Sure.
just wants to contact them and schedule it accordingly, whatever you
Sure.
can fit in.
I can contact them in the morning and schedule it maybe for
Yeah,
September.
even if you would, if whatever's convenient sometime in September is fine. I just
Mhm.
think that if we get it going,
Good idea.
you know, that we can, and even if you, and again, depending on people's schedule, if you want to do it for 6:30, if you want to do an hour earlier, just because it usually takes an hour and a half, you know, but at least invite the different boards
Yeah, I
and
think that's
commissions
important
here,
too,
and
invite
then,
the other boards.
yeah.
Good
And
idea.
then, then we have something memorialized so that people, again, can refer back to it if they have to. So I'll make that as a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Donovan, second by Mr. Franny. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thanks. You take care of that, Dory?
I sure will.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, modification of speed limit on Groveland Street. Now, it just came to our attention, well, I never knew it, that there's actually two speed limits on Groveland Street. 30 miles an hour going one way and 40 miles an hour going the other way. And in response to some noise complaints on the street and truck traffic complaints, it appeared to be a good start to maybe have some sort of uniform speed limit. Would someone, does anyone have any questions?
Uniform up or down?
A down, I'd say down, 30 miles an hour down.
Just a couple things. I know that because the Brockton Police Cruiser, it's kind of a, I'll call it a trap. Because you go down Groveland Street and you go through a wooded area, there's no houses and everything. And when you hit Brockton at the pole line, it is 40 miles an hour in Abington, and it's 30 miles there. So as soon as you're coming down that hill, you know, if there's a radar there, you're over the speed limit. You know, so it's kind of tough, but.
So, you know, it's 40 coming in and 30 going out?
It's 40 when you, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but it's 40 when you enter Abington from Brockton, it's 40 miles an hour into
Okay.
Groveland Street. And it's 30 miles an hour
Leaving,
leaving. As soon as you hit the Brockton line, it's 30.
yeah.
So it's a little bit of a problem. The only question or concern I had, and I did speak to Ed, is on the engineering. And I think especially where the chief has recommended that, you know, that he had no opposition to changing. If it involved the engineering, you know, a little bit of a concern over how much money would be, because I'm certain that there might be other streets in town that are similar. But I have to say, I rode around the other day in you know, Lincoln Street and places like that. There are no sidewalks on Groveland Street, and you know, but I don't know, it's tough to see where they're posted, like, very unusual to drive down Rockland Street and
Yeah.
there's a posted 20-mile-an-hour sign about 50 feet before there's a stop sign that you can't see that brings you onto Brockton Ave. It's just like, you know,
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
it's just kind of,
That's because of the fire, probably because of the fire station.
Some of the signage we have in town, if, I don't know whose priority would be, but over time, leaves grow out, you know, trees come out, and you can't see certain stop signs and there's certain things, but that's another point, you know, we get off the beat path, but, I think as long as we don't have to incur a lot of, money on this, and it
No.
probably wouldn't if it,
Well-
it's almost like a no-brainer if you go.
Well, apparently, it's not an easy thing to do. It has to
Yeah.
go before, it has to go through DOT and the RMV. There's a process. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but basically, I think the first step is taking a vote tonight to proceed with the process of going through DOT and the registry.
Mr. Chairman, if you like, I'll make a motion that we petition Mass Department of Transportation and the Registry of Motor Vehicles to make a uniform speed limit on Groveland Street of 30 miles per hour. And in our explanation to them, we can point out the inadequacies of one's 40, one's 30, and owe it to the fact that over time, perhaps there was a mistake, and therefore we want to make it uniform. So to make the argument, it'll be a simple administrative correction.
That sounds great.
If, however, they require certain work, then I would suggest that we contact the Old Colony Planning Council for their assistance.
Okay.
If there's any traffic counts that need to be.
Also, no sidewalks could be cited also as a reason for the lower speed limit.
Sure.
I think that there was specific wording, I think, that we needed to vote to use, wasn't there?
Yeah,
I
The
think
somebody
email-
did.
Was it in the packet? I
I
didn't
don't
see
think it's in the
it.
packet, but didn't you send us an email with specific wording for this?
Yeah,
for this
it would be,
vote?
your
Yeah.
motion would be to amend the speed regulation, and as Mr. Donovan said, submitting it to the Massachusetts Highway Department, Register of Motor Vehicles, and and for their initial review
Yep.
as a first step.
Okay, that's
Oh,
fine.
good, off the top of your head.
Kevin had it
I'll
memorized.
second Mr. Donovan's motion. Ed,
Okay.
I don't know if you had anything.
No, first of all, I just want to thank you for responding to the letter that I wrote, and you and I and Chris, I kind of referred to Groveland Street
Ed,
from...
would you mind, I mean, I'm not,
I'm sorry, Ed, we have to require all visitors to come up and check in at the microphone,
Thank you.
introduce yourself and give your address.
Again, I want to thank you for taking the time to at least discuss this, and hopefully it will go through as discussed.
Give your name, I'm sorry, so that'd be a pain in the neck.
Name and address.
Name and address.
Oh, Ed Schaefer, S-H-A-F-F-E-R,
Nancy appreciates that.
at 500 Groveland Street. I'm sure you realize I live on Groveland Street after all this. But this has been going on for quite a while. I recognize, coming down at 40 I can almost live with. It's 50, 60, and 70 sometimes. Because when they see the 40, they say, well, no one's policing it, so why not? Coming up, it's 30, which is kind of insane to have 2 speed limits on one street. I can never understand that. And when they repave from Linwood all the way down to just about the end of where I live, I now refer to it as the Autobahn. I'm telling you, the speed is incredible. And as you made reference, there are no sidewalks there. We have a young family that lives across the street that had their first child. They can't walk their child in a carriage to go for a walk. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of issues there. Safety is certainly one consideration. And another one is that we have to curb the people that... Has anyone taken the time to go down Groveland and look around? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but has anyone done it? Chris, you live there, so you know what I'm talking about. It's horrendous. I can't think of any other word than it's horrendous. I stand at the end of the street sometimes, Chris will acknowledge the fact, you can't get out of your driveway. That's how busy that street is. Compound that with the speed that they come up and down that street, you look at it and say, well, sooner or later, there's going to be a break in the traffic and I'll be able to get out of here. I mean, it's bad. Now, let me go one step further, if I may. The speed is one thing. You have to curtail it. And I think it has to be enforced a little bit. I know Dave has tried on occasion. They've had a car down there. But it's infrequent. And people see it. They know there probably won't be another car for another 6 months, to exaggerate a point. So I'd like to see that enforced, if it's at all possible, for whatever period of time. People become aware of the fact that this street is being watched. And we better be careful. And once that happens with the speed limit and it's enforced, it'll make a dramatic difference in our lives. The other issue is the noise situation. They repave from Linwood down to the end of Abington. And unfortunately, there was a little bit of a drop-off when they finished paving. And I'm not exaggerating, gentlemen, that starting at 5 o'clock in the morning, that little drop-off becomes a noise problem. Why? Because the dump trucks, for whatever the reason, they love Groveland Street. I haven't quite figured out why, but they love it there. And when they come up from Brockton and they hit that drop, I have to tell you, as I said in the letter, it's like a jet taking off. It's that loud, and it starts at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's my wake-up alarm, and I don't like it. Coming down the street, we have exactly the same problem. When they start at 5 o'clock to go wherever they go, I don't know where they go, but they hit that drop-off, we have the same problem again. My neighbors have complained about it. I certainly have complained about it. I'm like an advocate on Groveland Street. But someone has to be the advocate, so I've assigned myself to do the job. I don't mind. I have recommended, and I talked to Chris about this, when I go to see my dentist, which is of no importance to you, but in order to get there, I go through Milton, and on Thatcher Street, they have what they call a raised section. It's a residential neighborhood, by the way. I'm not talking about a commercial area. That raised section starts over here, goes up whatever elevation, I can't measure it, and then it goes down again. And they have it in 2 sections. And I guarantee you, when I go down Thatcher Street, I damn well better slow down because I'm going to take off like a plane. That really slows things down. There's no question about it. Can that be done? I don't know. I'm asking you to consider it as a possibility. So if we take the speed limit, cut that down to 30 both ways, maybe consider the possibilities of what they call a raised section to slow people down, we have now literally solved the problem. You know, I told somebody, I just turned 78. I'm retired. I'd like to get up in the morning and have peace. I don't have it. I just don't have it. Because I tune into that noise. It's there all the time. And I lay on the couch reading a book and I hear it bang, bang, bang. The next thing I know, the blood pressure starts to rise. Not healthy for me, but it happens every single day. And we're all tired of it. So I need you guys to give it some serious thought. Speed limit, let's start there. And then think about something that'll slow the people down beyond the speed limit. That's my cause. That's my problem. Now I'm going to give it to you.
Okay. This is the first step in a long journey.
I know it.
Okay.
You have to take that step, Chris, and I know, I'm well aware of it. I know you have to do that. And the fact of the matter is, I appreciate the fact that, you know, the 2 guys at the end right now were nice enough to call me and say, okay, we've read your letter. I'm sure you've all read it. I hope you've all read it. Okay. So you know what the problem is. I have now kind of elaborated the problem for you, so you totally, completely understand what I'm talking about. So yes, step number 1, let's get that speed limit down where it belongs. Number 2, let's try to enforce it, if it's at all possible, for a period of time, so people are aware of the fact. And I'm not exaggerating. I got a $150 ticket in Weymouth on my way to my sister's house because on Green Street, they enforce 25 miles an hour. And I'm driving along on Father's Day paying no attention whatsoever. They pulled me over and said, you were doing whatever, let's make it 40. And with that, they wrote a ticket for $150. When I go down to visit my sister now, I guarantee you, I do 25 miles an hour. I don't want another ticket. I can't afford it. I'm retired. So enforcement to me means a lot. Once people recognize it, they'll start thinking about it, and maybe that'll slow them down. With the little rise to slow them down, I think that's probably the answer that I'm looking for, and I hope that it gets done in one form or another in the not-too-distant future, guys. I'm 78, keep that in mind, make a note of that. Thank you. Anyway, that's my cause, that's my story. Thank you for listening.
All right,
I'm going
Ed.
home.
All right, thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
All right,
Chris.
bye-bye.
All you guys,
See ya.
appreciate your
Thank you.
time. Mr. Frank.
Thank you.
All right.
Just a couple comments. I do a lot of miles in my job, and the traffic is horrendous in Abington, but it's just horrendous everywhere. There's a lot more vehicles on the road. I think we're all seeing that. And I do live on Washington Street, and it's 30 miles an hour, and I know when the police go out there with radar, I think we're all kind of guilty of it. You know, 30 miles an hour is kind of a little bit too slow, but yet if you had it any higher, it would be tough. But what probably bothers me the most is that for some reason on Washington Street, when a motorcycle goes by, the muffler falls off, and I can really hear that at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So, I don't know, it's just, it's not just, I don't think it's just a problem for this gentleman. I think there's a lot of people out there that are experienced a lot of problems getting out of the driveway because of the number of vehicles that are on there, and you know, we're all guilty of a little bit going too fast, so, just a comment.
Noted. Kenny?
I have a comment on this too. I drove down that street today on the way, I left early to my house to go down that street, and there are 2 bumps on that road, and one I
Yeah.
think is right in front of his house.
It
There's
is.
also another bump up by the intersection too, and there's the obvious the manhole cover bumps too.
Linwood Street intersection?
Yeah, exactly. It seems like a little bump there too. Problem is, you know, if you smooth out those bumps, that creates it, people tend to go faster.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's complaining about the empty trash trucks or going over the bumps and making the noise, but if you smooth it out, then unless you enforce that speed limit, it's just gonna, you know, at least the bumps might slow some people down, but it creates the noise, so it's a catch-22. I'm not sure what he's referring to as to, it's not speed bumps, but some kind of.
I know what he's talking about. There's one in Braintree in front of Sullivan Tire near the plaza.
So you couldn't really.
You know, I seem to remember, I've lived on Hunts Pond Lane for over 10 years. I seem to remember, there used to be a weight limit sign on that little bridge, and that sign has
I think you're right.
And that sign has since disappeared. I just thought, throwing it out there, maybe that could be looked into. Maybe some of those trucks, without that sign, maybe there are some trucks that are too big going over that bridge. But, all right.
I think the first step is to see if we can get it to 30 miles.
Yeah, let's get it to 30 miles an hour, yeah, let's get it to 30 miles an hour. So, we've taken that vote.
Kevin, well, same motion as Dory or Kevin. I'll second Kevin's motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. All right? Okay, town manager report, do you have anything?
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 very brief items. The first item is, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our Animal Control Officer, Bob Hammond. He is an employee of the town that is compensated for 10 hours per week, but he truly is a 24/7 operation. If he gets a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning, a dead deer or whatever it may be, he goes, and he loves it. And he's just amazing, and he's so proud of his work that he does. And anybody that has that type of commitment to that job, to any job, is just amazing. And I thought the board might want to send out a letter of recognition to his efforts that he gives to the town, truly out of the goodness of his heart.
Is he retiring, or just?
He does part-time for Whitman and part-time for Abington.
Yeah, how long,
Yep.
he's been animal control officer for a number of years, hasn't he?
With us, about a year and a half,
Wasn't
year and a
he
half.
wasn't he previous, and then he was, yeah, I thought way back, at one point, we had a joint venture with Whitman where we had a dog compound we shared with them, and I think he was active then.
Yeah.
If we dealt with him.
I believe you're right, and he's just, it's just incredible. And I'm telling you, one of the worst things in the selectman's office or the town manager's office are the complaints of a dog officer that doesn't do the job. We've been that route too, so it truly pleases us, and I wanted you to be aware of his efforts.
Great.
Thank you.
Does anyone,
I move we send them a letter of commendation.
okay, Kevin? Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Burbine. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the other item I had, Mr. Chairman, is, as you know, we've resurrected the Boston Post cane tradition of passing out the cane to the oldest resident in town. And you'll be doing that, presenting the cane at the next before the next meeting on August 29th
Okay.
at 5 o'clock. Her name is Evangeline Leach. She resides at the Colony House Nursing Home. Well, we had a difficult time in finding the cane because the company that we used to use went out of business. So very long story short, we received a donation from North Eastern Bank. And they donated the cane to us, so any gift falls under your purview. And it's a very nice replica, actually. They donated it to the town, so I just asked that the board accept the donation in kind. And then we're going to have it engraved, and then you may present it to her next month. She's 100.
Great.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Great.
All right, great.
That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, that was
Oh,
lovely.
excuse me.
Nope.
I did have something else.
Yeah, under the, those, yeah.
Oh,
Sean wanted you to read those,
Oh.
to announce it.
Oh, okay, I actually,
I think we read them on, what?
this is the 3-on-3 basketball tournament?
Oh, no, I can
You
read
wanna
that.
read
No, that, let me see. All right. Well, I guess this is the, an effort to raise money for the Nick Malafronte Fund. It's a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. It's gonna be August 20th at 7 a.m. The entry is $100 per team. The deadline to enter is August 17th. The games will be held at the Abington Police Department as well as Arnold Park in North Abington. The ages is going to be 2 divisions, I think, 14 to 18 and 19 plus. And checks should be made payable to the Nick Malafronte Fund and mailed or dropped off along with an entry form to the Abington Police Department, P.O. Box 2113, Abington, Mass. 02351. You can get all the rules and registration forms at www.abingtonpolice.org. Any questions, you can email Deputy Cutter at ccutter, CCUTTER, at abingtonpolice.org. And I guess that's it. Come out and have a great time and support one of Abington's own, okay.
You guys want to put a team in?
Get Rich Cunningham. We'll have to dust Rich Cunningham off of that.
Andy, from the guy.
No.
All right. That's it. Okay, Selectmen, old and new business. Does anybody have anything?
I just have one thing.
Sure.
I'd like to thank the Police Department and the Council on Aging for opening up the senior center in these last couple hot days at Hut Streak, and I know they came down to Trukey's and got some ice cream for all the seniors, so I obviously followed them there and got a free ice cream out of it. But they had a few people go up there, and they were actually transporting some people, if they didn't have air conditioning, they would bring them to the senior center where it was nice and cool. So I just want to thank the police and the Council on Aging for doing that. I'm not sure who else was involved, and I'm remiss if I don't know who else was involved, but I just want to thank that. It was a good idea. So.
Great. Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Selectmen, old and new business? Okay, public comment. Chief? No, nothing? Alan? Okay. I'll accept a motion to adjourn. How long is Groveland Street? I don't know. How long would you
Too
say?
long.
It's probably like, I would say it's got to be 1.5 miles, 1.75 miles, something like that.
I think it's that long. Cover the entire distance?
As far as we know, yeah.
Okay, move we adjourn.
Okay, we got a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Wow, I made great time.
John's not here.
Why did you ask?